Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, Canada Immigration. We hope you're doing great. Well, in this, we'll talking about new PNP draws, Canada's student visa, latest express entry draw, Parents and Grandparents Program 2023, vacancies in Canada. The pursuit of education on foreign shores is a dream harbored by countless students worldwide, and Canada has long been a coveted destination for international scholars. In this update, we explore the latest developments in Canada's student visa policies, shedding light on changes that can impact the academic aspirations of prospective students. These shifts reflect the ongoing commitment of the Canadian government to welcome and facilitate the education of students from across the globe. So, to get all the information, pay attention and watch the video through to the end. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for upcoming video. So, without any further delay, let's jump into the video. British Columbia, Alberta and Manitoba invite candidates in latest PNP results. 3 of Canada's provinces have invited candidates to apply for provincial nomination. Candidates are invited to apply under provincial nominee programs, PNPs, when provincial governments believe that they will integrate into the economy easily and support the local labour force by filling urgent gaps in in-demand sectors. The provinces select candidates either from the Federal Express Entry Pool of applications, a process called enhanced nomination, or from those who apply directly to the provincial government, base nomination. Getting nominated through a PNP is different from getting permanent resident status, but it makes an application stronger. Nominated candidates must still send a separate application to Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. Provincial immigration results October 6 to 12. British Columbia PNP draw. On October 11, British Columbia invited more than 180 candidates in the most recent British Columbia PNP draw. The province held 4 targeted draws for candidates in the skilled worker and international graduate categories, including express entry candidates. The largest draw invited 118 candidates employed in tech occupations. They required a minimum score of 90 to be considered. The remaining 3 draw results are as follows. Candidates in each occupation required a minimum score of 60. Early childhood educators and assistants, 45. Healthcare professionals, 17. Other priority occupations, less than 5. Manitoba PNP draw. Manitoba held 4 draws on October 5 inviting 542 candidates to apply for nomination. 2 of the draws were for candidates in the skilled workers in Manitoba category. The first was an occupation-specific draw for 219 candidates employed in professions that fell under National Occupational Classification, NOC, 2021 major groups. 72, technical trades and transportation officers and controllers. 73, general trades. 75, helpers and laborers and other transport drivers, operators and laborers. Candidates required a minimum score of 610 to be considered. The second skilled worker draw was general, meaning candidates were not considered based on a specific attribute. The province invited 222 candidates with a minimum score of 629. The remaining 2 draws were also general and invited 41 from the skilled worker overseas category with a minimum score of 601 and 60 candidates from the international education stream. Alberta PNP draw. Alberta held a small draw on October 10 inviting 13 candidates from the dedicated healthcare pathway with Alberta job offer stream of the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. All candidates under this stream are also express entry candidates with a minimum comprehensive ranking system, CRS, score of 327. Alberta reported an allocation of 462 nominations for candidates under this stream for 2023 and shows that there are less than 10 applications currently in the queue. It also says approximately 383 allocations remain. Latest express entry draw issues 725 ETAs for candidates with a CRS score of 500. Highlights. Number 268 express entry draw invited 3,725 candidates. Canada issued 725 ETAs on October 10. 2023. On 10th October, IRCC held an all-program draw. Candidates having a minimum CRS score of 500. This is the first express entry draw held in October 2023. Details of the express entry draw held on October 10, 2023. Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, invited 725 candidates in all-program-based express entry draw. On October 10, IRCC invited 725 candidates to apply for permanent residence. The cutoff comprehensive ranking system, CRS, score was set to 500 for the draw. Express entry draws held in 2023 till date. The table shows all express entry draws held in 2023 till date. In 2023, IRCC held 32 express entry draws till date and issued 772 ETAs to apply for Canada PR. Study abroad. Check recent changes in Canada's student visa. Canada has long been a popular destination for Indian students seeking to build a better life for themselves and their families. According to rankings by the Times Higher Education and QS rankings, Canadian universities consistently stand tall among the world's top academic institutions. However, the recent diplomatic spat between India and Canada has become a cause of worry for Indian students aspiring to study in Canada. Over the past few years, the Canadian government has made several significant changes to its visa policies and immigration programs. Most new study permits are now being processed within the 60-day service standard. In 2018, Canada introduced the Student Direct Stream (SDS) program, streamlining the study permit application process for students from select countries, including India, China, the Philippines, and Vietnam. SDS applicants were required to meet specific eligibility criteria, including language proficiency and financial requirements. The process of obtaining a study permit involves multiple steps, and it's essential to recognize that processing times can vary significantly from one country to another. Therefore, meticulous planning is advisable to ensure that your permit is processed before your intended study period commences. The majority of Canadian post-secondary educational programs typically commence their studies in September, January, or May. However, it's worth noting that some programs offer intakes outside of these traditional dates. Since foreign nationals cannot initiate a study permit application without an acceptance letter from their chosen institution, it is imperative to proactively check the start dates and application procedures for the schools and programs of interest well in advance. This proactive approach will allow sufficient time for obtaining the acceptance letter and subsequently completing the study permit application process. COVID effect. During the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced travel restrictions worldwide, the government introduced measures to facilitate online learning for international students who couldn't travel to Canada and provided flexibility regarding study permit application deadlines. In response to the pandemic, Canada introduced temporary measures to support international students in 2021, allowing students to count time spent studying online abroad toward their PGWP eligibility. This was a significant change to facilitate international students' ability to work in Canada after graduation. These measures also included a temporary two-stage approval process for international students who couldn't provide all the necessary documents for their applications but chose to pursue distance learning programs. Under this temporary process, applicants could count their online study time abroad towards their post-graduation work permit once they received initial approval, provided they met all requirements. However, they still needed to submit the remaining documents and obtain a fully approved study permit before traveling to Canada, especially as services gradually reopened. In addition to these measures, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, is also planning to introduce a trusted institution framework to its student visa program by 2024. This framework is part of a broader strategy to modernize the International Student Program, ISP, operated by IRCC. While specific details are limited, the framework aims to evaluate post-secondary institutions based on criteria such as sustainable intake, identifying genuine students, compliance monitoring, safety, and overall quality of the international student experience. At present, international students getting admission to Canadian institutions must be classified under Designated Learning Institutions, DLIs, approved by their respective provincial or territorial governments. For this, international students require an acceptance letter from a DLI to apply for a study permit in Canada. The framework will also establish a two-tiered structure among DLIs, with some being recognized as trusted institutions and others not. India-Canada diplomatic row. However, the ongoing disagreement between India and Canada due to diplomatic circumstances, along with the recent suspension of visa services announced by the Indian government, has created uncertainty for numerous students and their parents. This unexpected development has left students perplexed, with concerns about their educational plans in Canada and their overall safety. It's important to recognize that both nations share a long-standing and robust relationship, and diplomatic tensions can surface periodically. While the temporary suspension of visa services may present challenges, it's crucial to remain adaptable and explore alternative plans if necessary. Aspiring students should stay updated on the latest Canadian immigration policies by regularly visiting the official Government of Canada website or seeking guidance from Canadian immigration authorities. Students intending to study in Canada should anticipate potential delays in visa processing, especially for the upcoming spring academic session scheduled for January 2024. Canada's immigration policies have demonstrated their ability to adapt to global dynamics, emphasizing diversity and inclusivity. As we look ahead, Canada continues to stand as a promising destination for individuals seeking a brighter future through quality education, unwavering in its commitment to welcoming newcomers from around the world. Depending on the situation's progression, it is advisable for students to consider planning their academic endeavors for the following fall or autumn semester, slated for August 2024. Low unemployment and high participation rate indicate persistent job vacancies in Canada. Statistics Canada's latest labour force survey reveals signs of healthy employment, as the country's economy continues to normalize after the COVID-19 pandemic. In the latest report covering September of 2023, Canada's unemployment rate, the number of unemployed individuals in the country over the age of 15, divided by the country's total labor force, population aged 15 and older, was stable at 5.5%, seeing little change from the start of the year. Similarly, the employment rate, number of labor force participants divided by the Canadian population aged 15 and over, was consistent throughout the year, standing at 62% in September. Employment rose among both core aged, 25 to 54 years of age, women and men, while employment for those 15 to 25 and older than 54 years of age saw little. These findings seem consistent with a tight labor market in Canada, new vacant positions quickly being filled by unemployed workers, especially given the recent increase in the country's population. Canada's labor force grew by 381,000 individuals since the start of the year, a figure that is largely driven by newcomers settling and finding work in Canada, continuing a record-breaking trend of yearly immigration to address labor shortages in key provinces and employment sectors. Which industries saw the biggest changes in employment? Several industries saw changes to their employment in September 2023, most of them positive. The number of individuals employed in educational services saw an increase of 66,000 employed positions in September, which compensated for the drop of 44,000 in August. Employment opportunities also grew in transportation and warehousing by 19,000 positions. Conversely, the following industries experienced contractions in employed positions in September: finance, insurance, real estate, rental and leasing, minus 20,000 employed positions. Construction, minus 18,000 positions. And Information, Culture and Recreation, -12,000 positions. Sectors targeted by category-based selections. To combat persistent labor market shortages in key sectors, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, has instituted category-based selection draws to the express entry system, wherein candidates with professional experience in these sectors may be chosen for Canadian immigration with more importance placed on their professional qualifications, rather than their comprehensive ranking system, CRS, score. This year is the first where the effects of this new policy may be measured. Candidates with experience in sectors that require labor may find success immigrating to Canada through these specific categories. Post a 13,000 increase in employed positions in August 2023. Transportation and warehousing jobs surged by 19,000 employed positions in September. Since January, employment in transportation and warehousing has grown by 82,000 positions, accounting for over a third, 34.4%, of total employment growth across all sectors during this period. The construction sector experienced a decline in employment by 18,000 employed positions in September, partially counterbalancing an August increase of 34,000 positions. From the peak in January 2023, employment in this sector has reduced by 3.4% or 55,000 positions. Employment in healthcare and social assistance saw a minor change in September. Despite a year-over-year rise of 2.5% or 66,000, the rate was on par with the average growth across all industries over the year, plus 2.8%. Latest data from the Job Vacancy and Wage Survey indicates that unfilled positions remain high in the healthcare and social assistance sector, constituting 1 in 5 or 19.9% of all job vacancies. Which provinces saw the biggest changes in employment? Employment increased in Quebec in September by 39,000 employed positions, marking a 0.9% rise following negligible changes over the previous 7 months. The unemployment rate stood relatively stable from the previous month at 4.4%. With the employment growth outstripping the growth in the working age population, the employment rate rose to 62.3%. British Columbia experienced an employment growth of 26,000 positions, marking the province's second consecutive monthly gain. The provincial unemployment rate of 5.4% in September remained largely unchanged from August. Ontario performed similarly in September, adding 19,900 new employed positions across sectors. In contrast, Alberta experienced a decline in employment by 38,000 employed positions in September, negating the cumulative gains of 30,000 positions over the 2 previous months. On a smaller scale, New Brunswick also experienced a decrease in employment in September, by 2,700 employed positions or 0.7% of their labor force. Positive changes in employment were also seen in other provinces, including Manitoba plus 8,800 employed positions. Saskatchewan plus 6,000 positions. Nova Scotia plus 3,200. And Prince Edward Island plus 2,700 in September. What does this all mean? One of the key insights of this month's labor force survey is the continuing tightness of Canada's labor market. This is evidenced by the consistency of the country's unemployment and employment rates throughout 2023, despite record numbers of immigration. This is further indication of the importance of immigration to addressing not just historical labor force shortages, but new ones as they continue to arise in Canada. On the topic of persistent labor shortages, it is important to note that they continue to be present still. The high number of vacant positions in the healthcare sector, despite targeting by IRCC as a skilled category for immigration, is a strong signal that shortages remain high in the sector, and that immigration is a key component to addressing them. Still, there are good signs that IRCC's new category-based selections are having their desired effect. Two other targeted categories that have seen healthy signs of increased employment and productivity are Canada's construction and transportation and housing sectors, which have seen sizable gains to their workforce. These are good indications that IRCC will continue to pursue category-based draws in the future, with the possibility of turning an eye to other sectors in need of workers in Canada. However, it is still too early to determine the long-term effectiveness of these strategies. Importantly, these shortages are spread out through all of Canada's provinces, but tend to be more punctuated in less populated provinces and areas, making the need for immigration to these areas crucial, and increasing the prevalence of Canada's Provincial Nominee Program (PNP) in the process. Overall economic signs relating to labour force growth and participation are favourable, and give indications that Canada is on track to address shortages in key sectors. What to do if you are invited under the Parents and Grandparents Program 2023. Emails have been sent out from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, inviting applicants to apply to sponsor parents or grandparents as part of the 2023 intake of the Parents and Grandparents Program. If you have received an email, you and the parents and grandparents you want to sponsor must submit a complete application online through the Permanent Residence Portal. The application must be submitted by the principal applicant, your parent or grandparent, or by an authorized representative on their behalf. If an authorized representative is submitting the application online on behalf of the principal applicant, the authorized representative must sign into their representative residence portal account to do so. IRCC must receive your application on or before December 22, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. IRCC will not accept late or incomplete applications. If you, your parents or grandparents or the representative cannot apply online, you may ask for an application in an alternate format. Uploading your information and supporting documents. You should receive a barcode in your email from IRCC that will match your application to the information you submitted when you expressed your interest to sponsor. You must apply a digital copy of that page under the section Additional Supporting Documents with the document name of Other in the portal. To make sure your application is complete, the information in your sponsorship application must match all the information you put on your 2020 Interest to Sponsor form, including a copy of the exact status in Canada document you submitted. You must pay all fees online. IRCC does not accept any other method of payment. If you do not provide proof of payment for the required fees, your application will be deemed incomplete and IRCC will not accept it for processing. Find out if you need biometrics. If you do, it is recommended that you pay the biometrics fee at the same time as your application fees. You can submit your social insurance number and give IRCC your consent on the Financial Evaluation for Parents and Grandparents Sponsorship, IMM 5768, form. This allows IRCC to receive your personal income tax information directly from the Canada Revenue Agency to see if you meet the income requirements. If you do not want to provide your consent and SIN, you must complete and submit the income sources for the sponsorship of parents and grandparents, IMM 5748, form along with your notices of assessment issued by the CRA for the 2020, 2021 and 2022 tax years. Minimum necessary income requirements. The sponsor and your cosigner, if applicable, must meet a minimum necessary income, MNI, requirement for each of the 3 consecutive tax years immediately preceding the date of your application. For the 2023 intake, IRCC assesses sponsors on their income for the tax years 2022, 2021 and 2020. The income requirement for the 2020 and 2021 tax years continues to be reduced to the minimum necessary income, instead of the minimum necessary income plus 30% to help ensure that no one is penalized for a temporary loss of income during the pandemic. MNI is an important eligibility factor for the PGP. The MNI shows proof that a sponsor is financially able to support the people they would like to bring to Canada through the PGP. With the ever-evolving landscape of student visas and immigration policies, Canada continues to affirm its reputation as a welcoming and diverse hub for international students. As the nation adapts to the changing global educational scenario, it offers new opportunities and avenues for those who aspire to study abroad. By staying informed about recent changes and developments in Canada's student visa policies, students can better prepare to embark on their educational journeys in the Great White North, confident that they have the latest information at their fingertips. That is all for today, in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next episode. Till then, take care.